Hi, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. My name is Delphine Akinshete, and today we're going to be talking about amnesty. So there are text messages that have been going around, and many people have sent these text messages to us to find out if these text messages have any truth in them. I'm just going to read one. It's very long, so I'm just going to read just a bit. It says, Home Office Asylum Amnesty Application, Windrush Damage Control. The Home Office is issuing visas in silence as a brief amnesty to those who have been living in UK with no papers for past 10 years. They need to get P form version 07/2018. Ignore what it says on the form that application for asylum or humanitarian Ignore what it says on the form that application for asylum or humanitarian protection and for a biometric immigration document. Ignore all of that. It's very difficult text to read. It doesn't make any sense. First of all, the English is very bad. And secondly, the Home Office doesn't do anything in silence. It is a governmental body. It's not allowed to do anything in silence. That would be a breach of some people's fundamental human rights if some people are secretly called by the Home Office to come and collect visas, and other people who have been in the UK for a certain number of years, 10 years, as according to this text, do not receive that phone call, or however whoever writes this text messages is trying to imply that the Home Office contacts people. It's simply not true. So now let's talk about amnesty and how the government has dealt with amnesty in the past and going forward. Firstly, it is important to consider the meaning of amnesty. It is a Greek word, and it just simply means amnesia. So it's forgetting, forgetfulness, passing over. Some people say it's a pardon, and some people say it's a plea. Some people say it's freedom. So people have different definitions of the word amnesty, but it just basically means, in this context, that the British government forgets that a person has a precarious immigration past and decides to give them papers just because they have been in the UK for a certain number of years. So Boris Johnson has always been an advocate for amnesty for illegal immigrants, even from when he was a London mayor in 2008. At that time, he had announced that his office will consider how feasible it would be to grant amnesty to an estimated 400,000 people living illegally in the capital at that time. Then he also commissioned a May 2009 report on amnesty, and that report considered those who had no criminal records and had lived in the UK for 5 years. The report was heavily criticized, but that did not stop Boris Johnson from further campaigns for amnesty. In June 2016, during the EU referendum campaign, he had described himself as pro-immigrant and that he would support an amnesty for migrants who had lived in the UK for 12 years. There is no doubt that a lot of people voted for Boris Johnson basically because he supports amnesty. And there is also no doubt that a lot of people did not vote for Boris Johnson because he supports amnesty. However, he became Prime Minister. Let's not forget that even when Boris Johnson was the Foreign Secretary, he was campaigning for amnesty for illegal or undocumented immigrants, as they were called, who could show that they had lived in the UK for longer than 10 years. Because according to him, it would be economically rational to allow them to work in the UK, pay taxes, as this would help the UK economy. During the Windrush scandal in April 2018, Boris Johnson opposed Theresa May, demanding an amnesty for anyone here for 10 years, provided they were squeaky clean. A statement was later released from Downing Street, which made it very clear that an amnesty policy was not under consideration. So let's fast forward all of this to July 2019, just one day after Boris Johnson became the Prime Minister. Labour MP Rupert had asked him if he is a man of his word and whether he would support amnesty. This is what Boris Johnson said. I do think we need to look at our arrangements for people who have lived and worked here for a long time, unable to enter the economy, unable to participate properly or pay taxes without documents. We should look at the economic advantage and disadvantages of going ahead with a policy that Theresa May describes, and which I think she and I share. Boris Johnson had actually described the policy of deporting foreign nationals as an anomalous. He also added, and we saw difficulties that kind of problem occasioned in the Windrush fiasco. We know the difficulties that can cause. So it's very clear from this video that Boris Johnson does support amnesty. But what is not very clear is what the position is as to date now that he is Prime Minister. Because when asked about the plans for amnesty by Labour MP Dr. Rosanna Ali Khan in the parliamentary questioning in January 2020, that's quite recent, the Home Office Minister Victoria Atkins did not give an indication that there are any plans for amnesty. She actually said that the immigration rules already provide for undocumented migrants to regularize their status. And she went further to say that the government remains committed to an immigration policy which welcomes and celebrates people to the UK through safe and legal routes but deters illegal immigration. So this is Boris Johnson's government saying, we deter illegal immigration. So when you get a text message saying that you should use the wrong form, you should pay no money to the Home Office, you should not be making an application, and you should immediately delete those kind of text messages, because you're just going to expose yourself to the Home Office and you actually can be deported because you have sent a form to the Home Office which is a wrong form for which you have made no payment. The Home Office always charges fees for its forms. If there are any forms that the Home Office does not charge fees for, you will know it will not be you using one form for a different kind of application, because it says to ignore what the forms actually say and to just carry on with an application that does not even exist for amnesty. If the Home Office were granting amnesty to some people secretly, that would be very wrong, because the Home Office is a governmental body and it should never be seen to be partial or unfair. So that is definitely wrong, that the Home Office is contacting people secretly. If you do get any contact by text or phone or anything saying it's the Home Office to come and get secret papers, please do not go, because it's definitely not from the Home Office. If you need any help, please do not forget to call us or to write us, or look for a solicitor who practices immigration laws and let them know your situation so that they can tailor your application to your situation. Thank you very much for watching. Delphine Akinshete. I am a solicitor, but I am not your solicitor. We only give legal guidance on this channel, not legal advice. If you want us to become your solicitors, please feel free to contact us using the details on the screen.